Hello, welcome to Budgeting and Forecasting with Excel. I'm Professor Larry Louie, and I'll be riding with you over the next month or so with what appears to be or feels like perhaps the Tour de France. Sometimes we have an easy stage where we're cruising along without much effort. Then sometimes we hit a mountainous stage where it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But regardless, over the next few weeks, we're going to learn a lot about the area called Financial Planning and Analysis, otherwise known as FP&A. Our topics for today are first a little bit about my background, then talk about the course objectives, topics, our learning approach, assignments and grading, class schedule, and finally the preparation you need to do before, not during or after, but before our first class. My background, starting on the left-hand side, that was me in 1965 in my first business, and it was a business selling confetti to revelers in San Francisco's Chinatown. My partners were my little sister Pam and my cousin Ronnie, and we had positive cash flows, high gross profit margins, no unhappy customers, and cash distributions which made everyone happy. I wish it were always that true in my business experiences, but at least that first one was a positive one. On the far right, fast forward, was when I served as dean for a few years at Hult San Francisco, and that was Evalio, who lived by the motto of better and better. Now, in between, I studied accounting and finance at University of California at Berkeley, worked at KPMG, and worked on audit and small business advisory practice. Went to Stanford Business School and took every single entrepreneurship class and real estate class. After that, I worked at Bain & Company for 3 years, then a series of private companies that were in real estate, software, and eventually in an e-commerce company. I started teaching in 2001 in, guess what, accounting, finance, and entrepreneurship. This particular course calls upon the many years I served as CFO. And there's a function in large companies called FP&A, where for a small company, the CFO wears many hats, including FP&A, right? Financial Planning and Analysis. So this course is about the things that I consider very important for us to know about this topic, for you to add value in a corporate sense on making sure you steer the ship in the way it should be steered in the finance function. Our course objectives are to prepare you for a meaningful role in the CFO's organization. FP&A serves as the financial analytical arm of the CFO and serves executives and senior managers in the company. We'll focus on 3 areas inside FP&A. Those are operating budgets, capital, sometimes called investment budgets, and financial forecasting. Our course topics. We're going to look at FP&A, which is an important financial function, then look at financial, analytical, and statistical tools that we use in this function, then look at operating, sometimes called master budgets, for profit and cash planning, then capital, sometimes called investment budgets for discretionary investments. Then we'll finally look at some approaches to risk assessment and estimation. Our learning approach is called the flipped classroom. You may have had this at Hult or at some prior schooling. And it's where we have the lectures before class. And those are done via video. Then when we're in class, it's workshop-based, where we're actually exercising, hopefully some of the newfound tools in classroom so we can learn by doing. After class, we will then reinforce with some homework assignments where you could see if you could do it on your own. And if you cannot, then you could call upon some of your friends or teammates to help you learn. That way, we're constantly learning through the process at a nice, steady pace. But it requires that you study at a nice steady pace, no cramming. It means that you watch videos before a class, that you're mentally engaged in class, so you're practicing what we're doing, and that you try on your own the homework assignments, and then if you don't understand it, now's the time to learn it before we move to the next topic. So that's the idea of a flipped classroom. The assessments in this course are pretty straightforward. We have homework, which are weekly for 20%. As mentioned, they are individual assignments that you should try on your own, but don't submit it until you're satisfied with what you've done. If there's something you cannot understand, it's fine to work with your classmates or teammates to learn it, because homeworks are really there for what we call formative learning or formative assessment, where we're learning along the way. The team project, which we'll describe later on, is an analysis of a company using some of the tools that we have, and that's also 20%. The final assessment is a summative assessment, and it's worth 60%, and this is an individual assignment. Those are our 3 course components as far as grading and assessment. Here is our class schedule for the European section. We'll have classes in the 4 weeks with 2, 2, 2, and 1 class respectively. We'll have deliverables such as homework due once a week, and then 2 other deliverables, a team assignment of a team project due on the 11th of June, and that is not meant to be done on the day or 2 before the deliverable, but something your team can work on during the course of our studies. The final assessment is a summative, which is an individual assignment due on the 12th of June. So our preparation for the first class is pretty straightforward. Watch the videos. You're going to hear me say that a lot because the entire concept of a flipped classroom is that you're learning the material by lectures before class so that we can try them out inside class. So the book that we're using is Financial Planning Analysis, and it's really more of a handbook for people in FP&A. In addition to the requirement of watching the videos, there I said it twice now, it's recommended that you start thinking about a company that you would like to analyze. You can also start working on your team. There's a Google Sheet where there's a link in our My Courses page, and you could see who else is in the class, and you could start communicating with individuals and start forming teams. The team size should be a minimum 4, maximum of 5. The gender, it should be not all one gender. Nationalities, no more than 2 from the same country. And continents, no more than 3 from the same continent. And this is for, the reasons we're at HELT is to make sure we're working in diverse teams. And start thinking about the publicly traded company that you would like to analyze. It's not going to be due right at the beginning, but it will be at the class number 3, which is after our first week. So where do you get started? Stage 1, or should I say session number 1? I hope so, and I look forward to seeing you this week. Bye-bye.